Greetings and welcome to PBT, Productivity Business Tools. My name is Rob Hills and I'll be walking you through Productivity Business Tools today, going through a little training exercise with you. But first, before we get to that, some of you are probably asking, what are Productivity Business Tools? Well, Productivity Business Tools, if you haven't been to our website, go to that. That's www.productivitybusinesstools, that's all one word, .com. So that's productivitybusinesstools.com. And what they really are there's a culmination of industry experts, 38 years of aerospace, medical, and across the globe worth of business professionals that have come together and have started to build tools that really are what I call world-class, taking your productivity of any business professional to the next level, in some cases 5 to 10x productivity. And their desire to do this, rather than spend a lot of times on YouTube to try to figure out how do I do a complex formula or how do I do a complex macro, we've done all the hard work for you. So we're coding, we're doing the complex macros, and then we integrate those very eloquently in the tools. So we use a mechanics approach. A mechanic doesn't go in and massage his tools and try to go figure out, what to do in the tool. The mechanic goes to his toolbox, pulls the tool out, and just starts cranking on it, just starts using it. That's our mantra. Our mantra is you just download the tool. It fits your every need. It has complex automation, all kinds of cool features eloquently incorporated, and therefore you download and start using. It's just that simple. And so today, what I'd like to do is I thought I would just pull one of our productivity templates up, walk you through it so you can actually see just how effective it is. Today, I'm going to walk you through our recently released what I call expense report. Now, by show of hands, who likes to fill out their expense reports? No one. But I'll tell you this. If you think about some of the enterprise programs that are out there today, who has $1,000 every year to do that? So there's some very, very sophisticated things that do this. But I can tell you what, for less than $10, you're not going to find a more eloquent tool and a solution for those that travel and have to record their expenses. So I'm taking the premise that you've already went out to Productivity Business Tools and you've already downloaded the expense report tool, which is on my desktop and what you can see here. And so I'm going to start as though you've already downloaded the tool, and then I'll walk you through it. So again, let's get started. So I'll first start by opening up the expense report on my screen. Now, as all of our productivity tools are, they're macro enabled. Why? Because we have complex macros and formulas that are driving some of the features that all business industry experts desire and want, but may not know how to do those things. So yes, you're going to get a dialog box that is going to say, do you want to, disable or enable because it could be a security risk? I can tell you, if you go to the frequently asked questions on our website, we talk through all of this. This was built by industry experts in the U.S., so there's no compromise. There's no security risk inside of our tools. You will get this prompt, and if you're working with a PC, there's one or two more steps that you may have to do, but it is well worth your time. So what you have to do each time to get the full experience of the tool is to go ahead and say enable the macro. So once you enable the macro, you're going to get to this first sheet, or what I would call, I'm going to take you to the expense report sheet. So the first sheet really is kind of a culmination. It is almost 100% automated, with the exception being the comments field right here, where if you need to put comments, and normally this is used if you have an expense for some odd reason and there was an issue with your hotel bill and you need to explain that before you submit this into your finance community, this is where you would do that. Everything else comes over from the back sheet, which we call the expenditure set 1. So we're going to dig into that. And at the top of the screen, as you can actually see, as you're going through your expenses, it starts to build out a beautiful little graph, which is a very, very good touch, right, when you're trying to fill out an expense report. And then at the very bottom, it will aggregate exactly what your expenses have been. So we're just going to do a couple of those as a sample set just for you. So let's dig in. So I'm going to go ahead and click over to the expenditure set number 1. And what you'll see here is, the first thing that we've done is, I hate it when people go out and they have an Excel tool, they have something very, very powerful, but then they have to look at their phone or they have to go to the bottom of their screen to actually get the date. So we've embedded drop-down calendars, mini calendars, everywhere where you have to enter a date. So you can just pick the date, put the date in there, make it easy for you so you don't have to look at your phone and do things that are that shouldn't be done when you're inside of such a powerful tool like Excel. So what you do is you put in the expense date. And then what you see right underneath that is, your first expense. So let's just drop a couple of those things in there. So let's just say we got a car rental. Let's just say we've got, there's some gas. Let's just say there's some taxi and ride share. And let's just say there's some breakfast, and maybe there was some lunch as well. And so what we've done, if you look at this combo boxes, we've put in there, based on our industry expertise, we've put in there almost every expense that typically a traveler would be subject to. And so, we don't allow a lot of modification in here because we think we've got you covered. There may be future iterations if we get feedback in from our teams and some of our clientele. We may be able to go in and modify and give you some more flexibility. But for now, we think we've got you covered. So you pick from the drop-down combo box. I'll pick one more. Let's say we had lunch and there was some alcohol involved in that. We'll drop in the cost of the car rental. Per day was like 45 days on that day. Let's just say we had to gas this thing up, $23 for gas. There was a ride share because later on that night we went to dinner, and maybe breakfast was about $23. Maybe lunch was, $34, and maybe there was some alcohol involved, so maybe it was $12. Hopefully, folks, don't drink and drive, right? So let's just do that. Let's just get that out of the way. Then you would come to the next day. So that would be day 1, September 6th. So let's just say September 9th. You pop that September 9th, and let's just say now we have other expenses. So I'm just going to drop a couple of those in real quick for you, and then we'll drop some cost in there. So let's just say the public transportation was $45. Let's just say the hotel costs per day is like $145. And let's just say dinner that night was $56. So you can see how easy this thing is. And we've given you 10 days of travel. Now, why did we do 10 days? Because 10 days is probably going to cover 95% of the individuals or the business professionals that are traveling, unless you are a world traveler and you're doing international travel. There will be another iteration of the tool that may give you the option to add additional days or additional 10 set of days. But again, we're going to wait for feedback from our clientele and our customers, and then we will act appropriately to do that. So as you can see, very, very simple. It looks simple, but so powerful. So what happens as you put this information in? Well, as you're putting the information in to the actual tool, let's go back to the expense report itself. You'll actually see that the expense report now has gone through and it has tallied, right? And what's really cool about this, because you probably have missed this, what's really cool about this is it tallies across all of these days. So let's say, for instance, public transportation, right? I only had that in one place, which was, let me show you, $45. And you'll see that public transportation here was $45. But let's just say you had gone over to the next day, and let's just say we're now at that day, and I do public transportation, and let's say the public transportation on that day was $60. So as you pump that $60 in, and you go back over to your expense report, you'll notice that that is a culmination or an aggregation. So for every 10 days, whatever categories, and it doesn't matter what order those categories are, on this particular sheet, it doesn't have to be at the same line item. I could have put public transportation. I could have put it twice. I could have said I had 2 public transportations, right, at the same day, right, and one was 60 and one was 89, right? And then when I go over to your expense report, it'll still continue to tally. Now you're up to $194. So it doesn't matter on this particular sheet what the order is. It knows it's smart enough to look it up, and it's smart enough to drive that cost over to the what I call the aggregated expense report or the expense summary report. So let's deal with that. So let's just assume you'd had 3 days worth of expense travel. These are all of your expenses. So what happens here? What's really cool about this tool is you'll notice it actually starts to build out your expense breakdown, right? So it's giving you all of the things that you expense. Now, why do we show you all these other cumulative expenses? This is to remind you, maybe you forgot something. For instance, maybe you did have parking, and it'll remind you to say, you know what, I did have parking. Where's my parking receipt? Why isn't the parking receipt there? Or, I had tolls and I didn't consider the tolls. So this allows you to remember if you had something or not. Now, before I move on here, I do want to show you this back on the expense set report where you're importing all the data. You'll notice that you have something called embed receipt. This is really, really cool because, everybody's like, oh my God, put these receipts and keep up with these receipts, to us, because we have mobile phones now, one of the great features that you can actually do is just simply, maybe you take a picture of your receipt at the end of that day, and then maybe you send that picture or that photo, that image over to your laptop. In order to embed it as a link, it's just this simple. You click in this field, you'll notice the Finder dialog box opens up, and it's just asking you to go find the location of your receipt. In this case, I have a PDF here, so what I'm going to do is I'll just plug that PDF. I'm going to merely say choose, and guess what? It's going to verify with a dialog box and say, make sure this is the path, this is the file you want to put in this file. And as soon as you say okay, voila, there's a link. Now, if I go back and I click that link, it will actually, behind this particular window, it will actually open up that PDF file. How cool is that? You can print that out, and then you can give all of those things to your executive admin, or you can submit that to your finance community. Very, very cool stuff. Now, you didn't have to know. It wasn't difficult, really. This is where we talk about productivity business tools, increasing your productivity. So we make it very, very simple, but we put powerful features in these tools to get it done. And so it's a couple of button clicks, pick a file, just like choosing a file to open on your regular PC or your desktop computer. And so now let's get over to that expense report. So when you go over to the expense report, as I said up top, it brings all your expenses over. If you have any commentary or you need to put additional information into the comments, this box is open for you to have free-flowing information or text there. But I like this top portion. I'll tell you why I like this feature. This feature kind of shows you where all your expenses were. Now, I'll have to give my wife some credit here, because she was like, but graphically, I always want to see it, with my highest expenses, first. And then what about all those other things that have zeros? It's kind of an eyesore to the eye. So we added some cool features to sort of, fix this up so it just looks very, very beautiful and aesthetic. So what you can do, right? First thing you can do is you can click this button that says sort the expense report by cost. So if you want to sort it largest expense to the smallest expense, simply click that button right there, and you'll notice the graph automatically changes and says, boom, voila, you got your highest expenses, so you see it. But we went one step further. Her next suggestion was, but now that I don't have any other expenses, why does the graph actually show those particular expenses? So if you look over here where it says row options, hide or unhide, it does this. You can click this button here. It's going to prompt you and ask you a question. So the dialog box comes up and it says, what do you want to do? Do you want to hide all the rows with zero values? If you want to do that, you click yes. If you want to leave all the values so that all of the values, even the zeros or the ones with a zero value, are there just so you can make sure you covered everything, you can just merely say no. So in this case, I'm going to say yes. Isn't that beautiful? And so it brings another prompt because it's important as far as refreshing. I'm not going to read that dialog box, but that dialog box is important, so don't forget to go back and read it. Now what you've got is it squeezed up your entire expense report in just those where you had true expenses. And guess what? That beautiful, simple little chart modified itself so it's not an eyesore anymore. So I believe my wife should be very, very happy. Now, again, folks, this is what I'm talking about with productivity. Productivity business tools, this is what we do. We build high-end tools with complex formulas, with advanced macros, with automation, with things so that you can just pull the tool down from our website and immediately just start using it and increase your productivity by 5 to 10x. Productivity business tools, you can find us where? At www.productivitybusinesstools, that's all one word, .com. This is probably one of our more simpler tools, but powerful. We've got so many great tools that are out there. One good thing for both you Mac and PC users, we develop the tools in both platforms. There's some nuances when we're writing VBA code that have to be different when you're writing them for Mac than when you're writing them in Excel for PC. And we've got tools out there for PowerPoint, tools out there for MS Word. And so every week, or at least every month, we try to release a new set of tools so that the business professionals out there can increase their productivity. The one other thing I will tell you that we've released just recently as well is what we call our Black Card membership. So rather than each download, when you're downloading the tools, they're about $9.99. Now, how are we doing all of this complex stuff and only charging $9.99 for the tool? Well, I'm glad you asked. When we started PBT, we said we would never transfer our NRE, which is non-recurring engineering, our cost to develop tools to our consumers. And so we're holding fast to that. We do not put inside of the price for our tools our NRE costs. Otherwise, these tools would be $200-$300 per download. To make it so that every business professional could get the kind of productivity that you're looking for to increase your career aspirations, it had to be economical. And so what we've done is each tool is less than $10. Our Black Card membership. So if you want a Black Card membership and you want access, it's our subscription-based membership. If you want access to everything that we have, what you can really do for that access is sign up for our Black Card membership, and our Black Card membership is $12.99, and you get access to all the tools. So as a new tool is deployed, you get access to the new tools. There's about 20-something tools out there today. These are highly advanced tools. And so each week I'll try to come out and give you a demonstration on another tool that we're using. We just released a really, really cool tool. If you're a manager and you manage people and you have people that are taking personal time off, PTO, the PTO tool, it is phenomenal. It's incredible, you guys. So don't forget, visit us at www.productivitybusinesstools.com. My name is Rob Hills, and I'll be one of your regular trainers to come out and help you understand and how to increase your productivity. I hope this was helpful to you today, and we hope you see you downloading the expense report tool in the near future. God bless you, folks, and have a great day. Bye-bye.